Hey guys, welcome back to Fix It Friday. So this week we're going to be revisiting the Sega Nomad, and this is a handheld version of the Sega Genesis that was released by Sega in the mid to late 90s, I think. And it's a really cool version of the Genesis. What I love about it is just that it is a portable system that you can enjoy all of these games with, and it has external audio and video out as well, so you can connect it up to another display. And as you can see with this particular unit, I've done a whole bunch of mods to it. So I have installed an LCD DRV to it, so it has much better video. I also modified the sound circuit so that you can play Sega Master System games and Sega CD games and get audio from those types of games as well. However, I have recently learned that those audio mods were not optimal. So I was working off of the current information available at the time, but now I'm aware of better methods to do those mods so that you can get better quality sound. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be revisiting this console here. This is my personal one. I'm going to be taking it apart, showing you how to do the Sega Master System audio mod where you add that back in. And then we're going to go over the mods that allow you to add Sega CD audio in. And the result of this adjustment to the modification is that you have much cleaner sound and you get audio from not only the speakers and the headphone, but also from this external output as well. All right, so let's take this thing apart and get started. Okay, so I decided just to give you a baseline recording of what it sounds like at the moment with the current mods. So yeah, I mean, you can understand that, it does have the Sega CD music, but if you do listen to it on headphones, and hopefully this recording as well, you can hear that it is a bit noisy. And so my understanding is that with this new mod that we're about to do, it does improve the sound quite a bit and make it more similar to what you get on other versions of the Sega Genesis. It's probably not as good as a triple bypass mod, but it's definitely going to be an improvement. All right, so taking apart the Sega Nomad is actually pretty straightforward. All you really need is a game bit screwdriver like this, which you use to remove the screw located right here. And everything else comes out with a standard Phillips screwdriver like this one right here. So I've already gone ahead and removed those screws. And so you can see that the Nomad is composed of two PCBs. You have this sub PCB right here, and then this one is kind of the main PCB that's behind all this shielding. So I've returned this to basically stock by removing the old mod. So there were a few things that were added on here. I've taken all of that out. Otherwise, though, the only other mod is the screen, which is hiding back here. I'm not going to bother with that. That's not really the goal of this video. This video is really just to show you audio mods, which can also be done on a stock Nomad as well. All right, so now that this is out of the way, we're going to turn our attention to the main PCB. You can see these two wires are hanging here. These are left over from the mod, and that's because I'm going to use them with this new audio mod, and I will explain that momentarily. So let me go ahead and remove all of these screws, and then we'll be back in a few minutes with the main PCB. Okay, so now the main PC board has been removed, and so the first thing I'm going to do is just show you how to add Sega Master System sound back into the Sega Nomad. So it's actually rather simple. What you need to do is solder one wire to pin 45 of this main ASIC chip right here. And the easiest way to find pin 45, you'll notice that there are these dots that line this side of the chip. So every dot indicates pin 5, 10, 15, 20, etc. So underneath this wire right here, there is in fact a dot indicating pin 45. This dot right over here at the far end, this is pin 50. So you just go back one, that's pin 45. You can do this with 30 gauge Kynar wire. In fact, it's probably easier to do it with that kind of wire because it's solid core and it's very small. You do need to use a lot of flux, and I've actually shown how to do this in a previous video, which I can link so that you guys can take a look. But as long as you have something like tweezers like this to hold it in place and you've got the right kind of wiring, it's not too bad. So once that's in place, I also secured it down over here in the corner with some Kapton tape, and the other end goes right over here. So this is pin B30 on the cartridge slot. So as long as you're going from B30 to that point on the ASIC, you're all set, and you've added Master System support back to the Nomad. So now I'm going to call your attention to these two wires right here. So these are what we're going to use to restore CD audio to the Nomad. So this is pin B1 and B3 on the cartridge slot. So I've just gone ahead and soldered two wires to those two pins respectively. And so now I'm going to actually go ahead and put the main PCB back into its shell because we're all done with the modifications. So it's really not that bad. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, put it back together, and then we're going to continue with this mod. All right, so the next step now is to continue doing the CD audio mod. So what we have here is a 10 microfarad capacitor with 25 volts. And so what I'm going to do for each of the two wires, this is the B1 wire over here. This one here is B3. So what I'm going to do for both of these is I'm going to solder the wire to the negative side of this electrolytic capacitor right here. And then on the positive side, I'm going to be soldering on a 10 kilo ohm resistor. And from there, we'll have another wire, which is going to go to the final destination on the subboard. So I'm going to do these for both of these channels. And I'm also going to just insulate them with some heat shrink wrap because these two caps are going to be inside of the console and I just don't want any metal bumping into anything else. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and prepare these and then we're going to move on to the next step. All right, so the final step now is to take this assembly of the capacitor and the resistor, and we're going to solder it onto this chip right here, is the 315-5684 chip. This is the audio amplifier on the Nomad. So what we're going to do is basically solder it to 2 points. So the channel B1, this is left channel audio, and I believe that this is going to go over to pin 14, which is right over here. So just like before on the main ASIC, these dots tell you every 5th pin. So this is 5, 10, 15. So we just go one back, and this is pin 14. Now, right channel audio is going to go over here to pin 20. Now, the nice thing about pin 20 is that it also connects over to this ceramic capacitor right here. So we can actually solder to here, and it's a bit of an easier connection than directly on the pin itself. So right channel audio B3 is going to go right over here on this side of C125. Okay, so let's go ahead and make those final connections, and then we're going to reassemble this thing and give it a test. Okay, so it's all done, and I just wanted to review everything one more time before I close it up. So this black wire here, this is cartridge point B1, and it goes into the negative end of this 10 microfarad capacitor. The positive end has this 10 kilo ohm resistor, and that goes to pin 14 of the audio amp. The B3 goes in the same manner, except that it terminates on either pin 20 of the same chip, or it goes to the right-hand side of capacitor C215. So once all those changes are made, you should have, better quality CD audio that's balanced and sounds right. And I should have audio now from the multi-out jack and then also through the headphones. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect everything back up. We'll give it a quick test. I'm also gonna probably tack these down with some tape just because I don't want them rattling around inside of the shell. So I'll do that and we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so I've got the Nomad hooked up and it's also connected to the larger display here and it's outputting composite video. So let's go ahead and unpause the game and have a listen to the sound. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, that's a much bigger improvement compared to the older mod. So one thing I really noticed with the older mod is that if the Mega SD was loading content, I'd get these weird audio artifacts, these little noise artifacts that were really obvious on both the speaker and the headphones, really on the headphones a lot. Now that's almost completely gone, so it's just the same as it would be on a standard Genesis. Um, and importantly, I now have sound coming out of all of the correct places. So I definitely recommend this modification because if you own a flash cartridge like a Mega SD or a Mega EverDrive Pro, you can really take full advantage of it on the Nomad. And it sounds just as good as the other versions of the Sega Genesis. So before I go, I'd just like to thank Leon Kiriluk. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He's on Twitter and he repairs and modifies consoles. He's very talented. And he's the one who posted this information, and so I thought it would be good to just kind of correct my previous mistakes and make a video about it. All right, so that's it for this video. If you guys like this kind of content, then consider subscribing to the channel. I have videos out like this, hopefully every Friday, at least I try to. And then, of course, if you've got a console that needs to be repaired or modified, you can contact me directly at oneuprestorations.com. All right, thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.